Here's the 30-second lesson on what legends know. Never practice nunchucks in a crowded room. Never eat chole before a road trip. Always take your shirt off before you iron it. Don't take a call near a swimming pool. And don't forget, saving is not investing. Legends don't just save, they invest in mutual funds. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
We are all familiar with the old wisdom that road to disaster is paved with good intentions. So let me tell you first of all, what intentions are we talking about now and what is the disaster? Although I would say more than a disaster, what has happened is what would have been predictable, because these good intentions were also politically motivated with not really a great expectation of these achieving anything. The good intentions that we are talking about is the 2020 National Education Policy, which allowed, it said it would encourage and also said it would allow technical/engineering education in native languages. That is Hindi and regional native languages. So in Maharashtra, Marathi, in Karnataka, Kannada, etc., etc., etc. So what has happened now? The first batch of these students who may have enrolled in 2021 will be passing out now. However, what's happened is that in many of the states and in many of the colleges, in fact, in a very large number of them, either students are not enrolling in these language medium courses or the enrollment is very, very low. As a result, in many key states, colleges after colleges, in some states, all colleges are now stopping these technical courses or BTech courses in their own regional languages. Now, language in India is a very political issue. It's very political and very politicized. In fact, that's the reason you open a currency note in India and you will see so many official languages mentioned there, 100 rupees, 500 rupees, in so many languages mentioned there. And in fact, for each language that's mentioned there, maybe there are followers or speakers or natives of 5 other languages campaigning for official language status. So language is a very political thing in India, and that's how linguistic states had come up. That said, when it comes to pushing it in education, and particularly as the medium of education, it doesn't always work. Now, I speak, you can say, look who's talking, because I was brought up in the Hindi medium. But let me tell you, it wasn't an advantage. It wasn't an advantage. It takes you a lot of catching up to do after that. And if I had the choice, my parents had the choice, even 55 years ago or 57 years ago, they would have still sent me to an English medium school, not a Hindi medium school. The reason I had gone to a Hindi medium school all those years was that in the towns in Punjab and Haryana where we lived in those years, there were no English medium schools. That is not the case right now. Now there is English medium everywhere. In fact, in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Eastern Uttar Pradesh, the poorest parts of India, there are English medium schools, even if they are private schools. That said, what exactly has happened now and what are we talking about? What has sparked today's episode of Cut the Clutter is a story by our reporter Fareeha Iftikhar, of which I will share a link with you. You will also see a screenshot on your screens. And that story tells us that in 3 key states, that is West Bengal, and West Bengal is important, I will come to it in conclusion to this part of this episode, West Bengal, Kerala and Karnataka. Karnataka is very important because the language movement, the native language movement at this point is the most noisy in Karnataka. You see signboards are being painted, you see these stories of auto rickshaw drivers fighting with people for speaking with them in Hindi. There is an anti-Hindi stuff brewing there, but it's also a Kannada impulse that's growing there. So in these 3 states, West Bengal, Karnataka and Kerala, most colleges, in some cases all colleges, in case of West Bengal and Kerala, all colleges which were running BTech courses in regional languages have stopped. And why have they stopped? Because nobody's enrolling in those courses. So if nobody's enrolling in those courses, you see 0 enrollment or maybe 10% enrollment or 5% enrollment. It just looks very bad for you. It also affects your accreditation ratings, because those are also based on percentage of enrollment in these colleges. Now, this is all a little bit intricate business, and I'd rather not explain it all to you myself, because I also have with me Fareeha Iftikhar, who will join us in a few minutes, and she will answer some of these questions more precisely. However, let me tell you basically what's happened. Following up on the new education policy of 2020, in 2021, AICTE, which is the apex body governing technical education in India, All India Council of Technical Education, they allowed the floating of these courses in native languages. This was done initially in 14 colleges. Then by the end of the year, these were increased to 19, and then the number went up to 30 colleges. Now, this experiment was hit with a double whammy. First of all, there wasn't that much oomph in studying engineering or technical sciences or technology in native languages, because there is insecurity that if I pass out in Kannada or Marathi or Bengali or Malayalam, I'm trying to count as many languages as possible, so nobody says I'm targeting some languages, or Hindi or whatever. Will I be as eligible in the job market as the English medium walas? The second thing that happened was that this change or this addition to the mix came at a time when engineering seats and technology seats, technology diploma seats, engineering degree and diploma seats already were seeing a shortfall of applicants. Last year, AICTE told Parliament that they were already seeing a 30 to 35% shortfall of applications, or 30 to 35% vacancies in all seats in institutions governed by them. This is not just referring to Indian language medium seats, this is all seats. So at a time when all seats are struggling, when even the English seats are struggling to fill, native language medium seats is that much tougher. Remember, at ThePrint, we will never say vernacular languages. In fact, since I've been an editor, which was more than 30 years ago, in my newsroom, the use of the expression vernacular is banned for any Indian language, because these are Indian languages, regional Indian languages or native Indian languages. Vernacular is a description that's come to us from colonial times. It's judgmental. It's also a pejorative. So we never say vernacular. That said, let's get some data. How many seats did AICTE say will now be available for regional languages? These were 2,580 seats finally for across 35 technology institutions in 13 states. Of these, 1,689 or 65% were filled, 35% remained vacant. That's when we are looking at the picture nationally. In West Bengal, Kerala and Karnataka, there were no admissions in most colleges, no admissions. In fact, in some colleges, some people did qualify or did get selected but did not turn up to join in. Gujarat also has seen no admissions, but they haven't yet closed their courses. They are still hanging on, maybe in hope, or maybe because they think that politically it's a bit awkward to stop Gujarati medium engineering courses, or maybe they think that politically it's a bit awkward to stop these courses, engineering courses in Gujarati, because you might get a blowback in linguistic regional politics. Then there are a few people who Fareeha quotes in her story, and these are important points they make. So Shri Vijay Kumar Bardapura, who is admission superintendent at Bhimanna Khandre Institute of Technology at Bhalki in Karnataka, he says, look, we got zero admission in our local language, that is Kannada language, BTech civil engineering course. Similarly, Arijit Kormokar, now we shift to West Bengal, Arijit Kormokar, who's principal of Polytechnic Institute of Hooghly in Hooghly, he says that only 30% came in for our electrical engineering diploma last year. He said that in the first year, which is 2021, only 30% of the Bengali medium seats for electrical engineering diploma were filled. Next year, 22, the number fell. In 2023, none came. So people are voting with their feet. Then at the same time, English is full. So what happens is, for a lot of these institutions and colleges, if their English is full and language medium sections are zero, this becomes brand destructive for them, because the accreditation points that they get, Fareeha will explain this to you a little bit better when she joins in. Those points suffer if you have classes in which you have no admissions, even if you have some classes in which you have 100% admission. Now, it's not as if all of them have pulled out. Some are still holding out. It's also possible that they are holding out because they are concerned about local political sensitivities. What will the politicians say? What if a mob turns up at my college tomorrow saying, you are not teaching this in Kannada language, Bengali language, Hindi language, Punjabi language, whatever language, because language is an emotional issue. It brings mobs together, and we've seen those mobs at work in so many cities and so many parts of our country. So 2 colleges in Karnataka are still holding out, but you know what? They still have zero enrollment, no enrollments. And in some people have come in or they've signed up to come in, but they haven't really joined. GT Raju, principal of SJC Institute of Technology, Chikballapur, also in Karnataka, he says, for example, that 11 candidates were picked in the first round of the states, that's Karnataka's CET, Central Entrance Test for Civil Engineering. But you know what? None reported to join the classes. So once again, a blank class with 0 students. In Haryana and Uttarakhand also, we've seen, that's Hindi medium, we've seen something similar, it's not 0. So in Haryana and Uttarakhand, it's 17 and 18% respectively. So approximately 1 in 6 seats is occupied, 5 are going vacant. These will be very empty classrooms, and I think the teachers will be a little bit bored. There are, however, some exceptions also. Some states in which we see a contrast, but there is an underlying reason for that, which we will explain to you. So Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu and Bihar, they haven't done so badly. Now, 2 colleges in Rajasthan, for example, have 120 seats. They got 124 applications. That's in Hindi medium, but I shall underline to you this subject. The subject in this case is computer science. What happens in these cases is that computer science is a subject much in demand. So it becomes very tough to get admission in English classes for computer science. So you say, all right, if I don't get in English, I will take it in Hindi. It's still computer science. The language of computer science is English, right? So what the teacher is speaking, the language of the computer is English, right? So I'm not at such a disadvantage. I don't make it to the English section. I'll go to the Hindi section. That's easier. I'm more sure of getting admission. In Maharashtra, in fact, colleges offering degrees and diplomas in Marathi language have gone up from 2 to 7, and the number of students has gone up from 90 to 300. In Maharashtra, once again, an exception. The number of colleges offering Marathi medium for technical courses has gone up from 2 to 7, and the seats have gone up for Marathi medium 90 to 300. But remember, most of these colleges in Maharashtra also offer computer science. So computer science it is that's able to defy this phenomenon. Now that said, I will just speak a little bit about the politics of language, and then we'll bring in Fareeha Iftikhar to answer some questions and to explain some intricacies for you. Now in every state, politicians, leaders, they all promote the local language. They want everything to be in their own language. Punjabi was my 3rd language up to class 8. So if somebody blindfolded me and dropped me suddenly in Punjab and said this is Mars or someplace, at least I'll be able to find my way around, because so many of the signboards, road signs, everything was turned into Punjabi language over time. Now it is much more intense in many other states. In Maharashtra, for example, in Karnataka, at one point of time, in Bengal a lot more. So language is something that politicians use. But you know what? Politicians want your children, particularly if you're not well-to-do, or you're working class, or you're the kind of people who they want to attract for their mobs to either ransack a showroom or a car dealership, or maybe a jewelry shop, even more lucrative, right? Or an educational institution or a hotel, because their signs are in English. The kind of people they want to collect for these mobs, and kind of people, I'm not judging them. What I mean is people of a certain socio-economic background, the poorer people whose emotions they try to exploit. So these are the people who are brought in to provide muscle power for these native language movements. And it is these people or their siblings or their children who end up going to schools, colleges, even technical institutions offering education in the native language or native medium. Whereas the politicians' own children all go to English medium. All politicians, all civil servants, anybody of any means sends their children to English medium schools, and wherever possible they send them overseas for education. You now have schools after schools in the big cities. In fact, many other schools which are calling themselves international schools or which are following the IB system, they are now mass producing class 12 level kids to go for undergrad education overseas. And that's where India's import of education has become so many billions of dollars. That story we'll talk about tomorrow. I will conclude this section only by recounting something that I heard Mamata Banerjee say in her 2014 election campaign. That is the election campaign in which she defeated the CPM and came to power. And this is something that I saw her say in Bankura. Bankura is one of the driest, most poverty-stricken parts of West Bengal. It's in rain shadow. The soil is not very fertile. This also happens to be in the middle of what used to be. It isn't now, mercifully, the Maoist heartland. That is Lalgarh and the area around it. And there she was walking up and down on the stage with a cordless mic, as she always does. And what was she saying? She was saying, "Awe ajgar ashe tere, awe amti khabo pere." Loosely translated, this means A se ajgar, जो आपके पीछे भाग रहा है. Ajgar is python. So A for ajgar or python, which is chasing after you. A for amti, that is mango, which you pluck from the tree. So A ajgar ashe tere. A for ajgar, which is chasing after you. A for amti, khabo pere. A for amti, which is mango, which you pluck from the tree. And she said, all your children are being forced to go to Bengali medium schools. There they chant something like this. And what do you think are the Marxist leaders, CPM leaders' children chanting in their schools? And the whole crowd said, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." So her point was that all your children, because the CPM is able to use the politics of language, they are forcing your children to go to Bengali medium schools, and your children are then searching for peons' jobs desperately. And we've seen that some of that situation still continues in West Bengal. It's not as if things have become a lot better on the job front there. But the politicians, in this case CPM leaders, their own children are going to London and becoming barristers. You can read more details of that camp in an article in the series Writings on the Wall. I will share a link with you. And that was a campaign pitch. Now, many other states have also followed that pattern. For example, Jagan's government in Andhra Pradesh, he brought in English medium. In Uttar Pradesh also, Yogi government is bringing in more and more English. So many states are now doing this. So you know what? To summarize, native language is the currency of political empowerment. That's what the politicians need. English language is the currency of individual empowerment. That's why if education in native languages, native language medium is such a panacea, why don't you see any political leaders feeding it to their own children? Why do they reserve it for the children of those who constitute their crowds and mobs, and who are the ones whose emotions they are playing up with their local language movement? That said, we'll now have Fareeha join in and answer some more precise questions. Fine story, Fareeha. I learned so much from it. Tell us, what was the idea behind this experiment and how much of a success or a failure is it? The experiment being offering technical courses, particularly BTech courses in native languages.
So NEP recommended that education should be imparted in native regional languages to give an opportunity to non-English speaking students, like you can say equal opportunity to access good education. That was the idea. So in 2021, AICT, which is the technical education controller in India, had invited education institutions like technical education institutions to come up and apply to offer such courses. Initially, 14 education institutions had come forward from 8 states to offer these courses in Hindi, Marathi, Kannada and Telugu, and which later increased to 19 the same year. However, it did not pick up. since in initial year, only 20% seats were filled in these colleges. They were like 1,230 seats, and only 20% of these were filled. And in the second year also, the admissions were like just 47%, did not even touch 50% mark. And last year, according to the AICTE data, the admissions were just 65%. And some states, which include Karnataka, Kerala, West Bengal, and Gujarat, did not receive any enrollment.
So would you say, how would you characterize this experiment? Failure, success, work in progress, and what is AICTE telling you?
So what AICTE is saying, that it is like work in progress. So they are saying, like, since the first batch is yet to pass out and they are yet to see the acceptance in the market.
Whether they get jobs or not.
Whether they get jobs or not. So according to colleges, it completely depends on this fact. If they're getting jobs, so probably from next year, more students may come. And if they are not getting, if the result is not up to their expectations, so maybe it further decline. So that is what the thought process there in the institute right now.
And how come you see in some states, particularly in colleges offering computer science, when they offer computer science in native languages, classes are filling up?
So I'll give you a background here. So when these courses in regional languages were introduced in 2021, we should remember that at that time, AICTE had a ban imposed on introducing new engineering colleges because of low enrollment in general. It was not about regional language or what. In general, there were low enrollment across engineering colleges, and there were a 3-year ban on introducing new courses or increasing or setting up a new college. So this is that time when these courses were introduced. And the admissions in core engineering colleges, for example, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, were already low. On the contrary, the admissions in computer sciences were picking up everywhere. And more students, because of more job opportunities in the IT sector and of software companies, they were going for computer sciences. Even if those who were enrolling in like core engineering courses, they were eventually getting jobs in software companies and like tech side of the market. So at that time, these courses were introduced. So it was natural that students were more inclined and more interested in getting admissions in computer sciences. So I've spoken to many officials in these colleges where enrollments were comparatively high. So they are saying that majority of the students who could not even get seat in computer sciences in normal English language, like where it is offered in English medium, in their own institutes have come up and taken this option.
Kisi bahane se at least get into computer science.
Exactly.
Now,
the aim was to get a computer science seat somewhere, wherever they can.
And colleges are coming up with ideas of reforming or repair work on this?
So what they are doing right now, like the translation work is still going on. So AICTE along with these colleges they are translating study materials and books. So they are year-wise translating it, since the first batch is now in 4th year. So they have actually come up in the last phase of translation. So what they are doing to prepare students for the job market, they're not completely translating books. They're just keeping technical words and the words for like computer application words as it is, so that they don't become unfamiliar with those words when they go and join some job. So just to keep them updated. For example, like basic words like calculator, thermometer, or calculus, they're not changing those words. Conduction, convection, the processes, and like name of the softwares, they're not changing them. So that like students read and study in their native language to understand better. That is their idea, but they don't lose.
In my class 7 was it, or class 7 or 8, the chapter in the science textbook, the chapter on adaptation was called Anukulan.
Okay.
Right? And I sometimes hear that word on Doordarshan, but not otherwise. Yeah, everybody says adaptation now.
Here, that thing was kept in mind while translating study material.
And colleges are coming up with some ideas also about renaming these courses or rebranding them.
So according to AICTE, they've got requests from many of these colleges to just rename those courses to like regular courses. For example, civil engineering, in bracket, they put it like Marathi medium. So they don't want,
Don't just say Marathi, say
or
Kannada.
any other
Say
medium like
Kannada, Bengali,
medium or Hindi medium.
most importantly,
Yeah.
yes.
So they don't want to tag the courses because it is somehow creating stigma among students and parents. So the stigma associated with the fact that they are studying in regional language, the medium is not English, still there.
So computer science ko computer science ही रहने दो, कोई नाम ना दो.
Yeah, and they have assured AICT that they will continue teaching the students in their native language to make them understand.
In these sections, but without putting that language in parentheses.
Exactly. So these kind of requests are coming. That is what I've got.
But that's a work in progress.
They have not changed the name as of now, but like they are getting requests for the same.
That's the reason I said in the very beginning that I'm not calling it a disaster yet, but this is something that was predictable. And I do suspect that as we go ahead, more and more students will still choose English medium because the modern job market demands that. Well, thank you, Fareeha. Very insightful story, and we learned a lot. And I think there are lots of lessons there, particularly for our political class, that there is a downside to playing linguistic politics. And that downside, the price for that downside or the can for that downside is picked not by you politicians, because your kids go to nice English medium schools, pass their class 12 and then go overseas for undergrad. It is the working class voters in your states who pay the price for this, and their kids.